The first time everything went wrong, nobody screamed, nobody slammed doors, nobody threw a fit. It was worse than that. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that sits heavy in your chest and don't leave. Mara Whitmore was 19, gifted, stubborn, and way too hopeful for her own good, and she was standing in a cold hospital bathroom staring at two pink lines like they were some kind of cruel joke the universe was playing on her. She didn't cry, not at first. She just laughed a little under her breath and whispered, "You've got to be kidding me," because that's what you do when your life derails without asking for permission. Mara was a cellist, the kind professors whispered about, the kind who didn't just play notes but seemed to pull memories out of wooden string. Music was her oxygen, her escape, her identity, and she was on track for a scholarship, competitions, maybe even a solo career someday. The baby's father was a guitarist named Nate Keller, sweet, talented, completely broke, drifting between gigs and couches, the kind of guy with big dreams and no plan. She didn't tell him right away. Not because she didn't trust him, but because she didn't know how to hand someone a hurricane and ask them to stand still. Her plan, if you could call it that, was simple and impossible at the same time: have the baby quietly, give it up, finish school, and someday, when life wasn't so messy, tell Nate the truth. She thought she was protecting everyone. She forgot one thing. Her father. Richard Whitmore was old school, polished, well known in their small Eastwood community, the kind of man who shook hands like contracts and smiled like reputation. He raised Mara alone after her mother passed, poured everything into her education, her music, her future. To him, Mara wasn't just his daughter, she was his legacy. So when he found out, and of course he did, because secrets don't live long in tight houses, the disappointment on his face hit harder than any yelling ever could. He didn't rage. He didn't accuse. He just sat down across from her at the kitchen table, folded his hands, and said, very calmly, "We're not doing this." Mara tried to speak. He cut her off. "You're too young. It's unstable. This will ruin you." She said, "Dad, I can handle it." He leaned in, eyes sharp. "No. You can't. And you won't." The conversation ended with her crying in her room and him on the phone making arrangements. Legal, clean, discreet. The baby would be born, placed, forgotten. He told her it was mercy. She knew it was control. The night she went into labor, she begged him not to take the baby away. Not with words, with silence, with shaking hands, with the kind of look that says, "Please don't break me." He didn't budge. When she woke up after delivery, her arms were empty. The nurse said the baby had been transferred. Her father stood at the foot of the bed, eyes unreadable, and said, "It's done. You can move on now." Something inside her died right there. She never touched a cello again. Not for years. The baby's name was never spoken in that house. The pictures were gone. The memory buried. And Mara, she obeyed. She stayed. She finished school. She lived like a ghost in her own life. What she didn't know was that the child had been placed in a city-run foster system under a different name, in a different county, filed away like paperwork. Out of sight, out of conscience. And that baby was named Jonah Reed. Jonah was born with something strange in his ears, something doctors couldn't explain and teachers didn't understand. He could hear everything. Not just loud things, not just music, everything. The hum of lights, the rhythm of footsteps, the pattern in traffic, the melody in rain. It wasn't just hearing. It was translating the world into sound. By 3, he was tapping patterns on tables. By 5, he was humming tunes nobody taught him. By 7, he was driving his foster parents insane asking where the music was coming from when. The house was quiet. They thought he was making it up. At school, kids called him weird. Teachers called him distracted. Social workers called him difficult. He learned early that explaining yourself is useless when nobody wants to understand. He was adopted twice. Both times, it failed. He would stand at windows at night, listening, waiting, not for someone specific, used, someone. He didn't know who he was missing, he only knew something was. Eventually, he stopped trying. At 8 years old, he ran. Not dramatically. No backpack, no note. Just walked out the door one afternoon and didn't come back. He ended up downtown, in the noise, in the chaos, in the beautiful, messy orchestra of the city, and for the first time in his life, he smiled. Because the world finally sounded like it made sense. He slept in alleys, under awnings, wherever was dry. He ate when he could. He learned quickly who to avoid and who to watch. And that's when he met Victor Hale. Victor was the kind of man who looked like a savior and acted like a king. He ran a group of street performers, kids mostly, gave them instruments, gave them shelter in an abandoned theater, fed them, clothed them, and then took every dollar they made. He called it structure. Jonah called it survival. Victor noticed him tapping rhythms on railings, humming to himself, listening more than talking. He handed Jonah an old violin one night and said, "Let's see what you've got, kid." Jonah played. The room went quiet. Not polite quiet. Soaked quiet. Victor's smile changed. Sharpened. That was the moment Jonah stopped being a kid and started being an asset. He practiced constantly, learned fast, absorbed everything Victor taught, and then some. He played in parks, outside cafes, near subways. People stopped. People stared. People cried. Money poured in. Victor loved him for it. Jonah didn't care about the money. He cared about the sound, about the feeling, about the way people looked at him like he mattered. But there was something else. Every night, when the city calmed down, Jonah would play softer, slower, like he was calling someone. He didn't know who. He just knew he was waiting. Back in Eastwood, Mara was working at a bookstore, living small, living quiet, living numb. Her father had gotten sick. She took care of him. He softened with age, but never apologized. Never spoke of the baby. On his deathbed, his voice weak, his eyes full of something like regret, he whispered, "I did what I thought was right." She didn't answer. After the funeral, cleaning out his office, she found the file. Seen. Yellowed. Forgotten. Her hands shook as she read it. Jonah Reed. Born healthy. Blessed. Alive. Her knees gave out. She sat on the floor and sobbed like she was 19 again, like she had just woken up in that hospital bed. Except this time, there was a chance. And she was not going to waste it. Mara didn't tell anyone at first, not her co-workers, not the few friends she still had, not even the pastor who kept asking if she was doing okay these days. She just folded that thin yellow file back into her bag like it was something fragile and walked out into the parking lot, sat in her car, and stared at the steering wheel for a full 10 minutes before she could even breathe right. Jonah Reed. Alive. Somewhere. And that word, somewhere, it was both hope and torture, because it meant he existed, but it also meant he could be anywhere, and for the first time in almost a decade, Mara was wide awake inside her own life. She started with the county records office, then the foster system, then the private agencies, and every place was the same kind of polite brick wall. "Ma'am, records are sealed." "Ma'am, that was years ago." "Ma'am, we can't release that information." She learned real fast that the system didn't bend for guilt. So she did what desperate people always do, she got creative. She printed flyers. Old school, black and white, simple photo of her at 19, big letters that said, "Looking for my son. Born April 14th. He never stopped loving you." She posted them on poles, laundromats, grocery store boards, bus stops, anywhere people might look while waiting for life to move. She walked neighborhoods, asked shelter workers, soup kitchens, social workers, anyone who might have seen a boy about 10 with dark hair and serious eyes. So many people were kind. So many people were tired. So many people just shook their heads. And then there were the looks, the ones that said yeah, sure, another sob story. She didn't take care. Every night, she went home with blistered feet and an empty lead list and told herself, tomorrow, 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 because stopping wasn't an option anymore. Meanwhile, Jonah's world was getting bigger, louder, and more dangerous. Victor Hale had started booking real gigs, not just street corners, private events, small festivals, even weddings. He dressed Jonah nicer, coached him harder, and watched him closer. He told everyone Jonah was his discovery, his project, his legacy. And Jonah. Jonah felt it. The creep. The ownership. The way Victor's eyes followed the money, not the music. But he stayed. Because where else was he supposed to go? One night, after a long set, Jonah sat on the steps behind the theater, rubbing his fingers, listening to the city cool down, when Victor came out with a cigarette and that fake casual tone he used when he wanted something. "You ever think about how lucky you are, kid?" Jonah shrugged. "I guess." Victor smiled. "Most kids would kill for what you have." Jonah didn't answer. Victor leaned closer. "Don't get any big ideas about leaving, yet? Bortle's not kind to boys like you." It wasn't a threat. It was worse. It was a reminder. That same week, Mara walked into a community music center to hang another flyer and heard a violin. Not just any violin, something raw, aching, searching. Her breath caught. She stood there, hands shaking, heart slamming, listening like a fool, hoping like an idiot, and then the music stopped and a teenage girl walked out with her case and laughed with her friends. Mara felt stupid. And then, relief. And then, empty again. She sat in her car and cried until the steering wheel was wet. That night, she pulled her cello out of the closet. The case was dusty. The strings were dull. Her hands trembled as she opened it, like she was waking something dangerous. She didn't even know why she did it, maybe because the search was breaking her, maybe because the silence was too loud, maybe because some part of her believed, stupidly, that if she played, he might hear. The first note was rough. The second was worse. Her bow scraped, her fingers missed, and she almost slammed the case shut. Almost. Instead, she laughed. A real laugh. A broken one, but real. And she kept playing. Slow. Careful. Clumsy. Like someone learning to breathe again. Word spread. Not fast, but steady. The girl who used to be a prodigy was playing again. Local cafe gigs. Small community events. Nothing big, nothing flashy, but enough to get her name whispered again. And every time she played, she looked out at the crowd like she was searching for one face. Used when Jonah, on the other side of the city, was changing too. Puberty hit him like a wave, his emotions got louder, his music got deeper, and Victor noticed. Jure getting soft, Victor said one night after Jonah played a slower, sadder piece. Crowds want energy. Feed it. Not, whatever that was. Jonah looked up. It's what I felt. Victor's jaw tightened. Feelings don't pay rent. Something cracked there. Not loudly. But enough. A few days later, Jonah overheard Victor on the phone, passing, angry, whispering something about that woman asking questions and social workers sniffing around and not letting this slip. Jonah's stomach dropped. That night, Victor cornered him, eyes wide, smile forced. Hey, kid, funny thing, you ever think about your real parents? Jonah froze. Victor kept talking. Because, see, some people from the state have been asking about you. You know what that means, right? Jonah shook his head. Victor sighed dramatically. It means they might take you back. Group home. Foster care. Bounced around. No music. No freedom. Jonah's chest tightened. Victor crouched in front of him. I'm protecting you. But you got to trust me. Jonah whispered, I don't want to go back. Victor smiled. Then don't. That night, Jonah packed. Not much. His violin. A hoodie. A notebook full of half-written melodies. He slipped out the back door and ran. No plan. Used away. He ran until his lungs burned, until the city blurred, until he ended up near a church with warm light in the windows and singing inside. A kid's choir. A girl his age saw him standing there, shaking, and instead of asking questions, she just said, You okay? He shook his head. She opened the door. You can come in. Her name was Ellie Parker. She lived with her grandmother 2 blocks away. That night, Jonah slept under her bed because he was scared of being seen, and in the morning, he saw her piano. He touched the keys like they were sacred. By sunset, he had written something new. Ella stared at him like he was from another planet. Her grandmother crossed herself. The pastor cried. And by the end of the week, Jonah had a sponsor, a scholarship contact, and a ticket out of that life. Sometimes, angels wear sneakers. Mara, meanwhile, finally got a lead. A volunteer at a shelter mentioned a boy who played violin like he was possessed, ran with a street group, disappeared recently. Mara drove there in the rain, heart in her throat, hands numb, and showed his photo. The volunteer squinted. Yeah. You think that's him? Mara couldn't breathe. He ran, though. Not sure where. Mara thanked her and sat in the car and laughed and cried and punched the steering wheel like a crazy person because after all these years, she was close. She just didn't know how close. Because while she was driving home, while Jonah was learning scales on a church piano, while Victor was losing his mind, something else was happening. Jonah was being evaluated by a private music academy in the city. and Mara had just been invited to play at their annual showcase. Different paths. Same stage. They were moving toward each other without knowing it. And Victor was watching. Because men like him always do. The showcase was supposed to be simple. A clean stage, a polite crowd, some applause, a few proud parents with phones in the air, nothing dramatic, nothing life-altering, just music. That's what Mara told herself while she tuned her cello backstage, hands steady but heart restless, that familiar nervous energy buzzing under her skin like static. She hadn't felt this 11 years, and she hated that part of her was terrified of it. Because every time she stepped back into music, it felt like hope, and hope was dangerous. Across the hall, Jonah sat in a folding chair that was 2 sizes too big for him, violin case between his feet, hoodie sleeves pulled over his hands, bouncing his knee like he was trying to shake something loose. He didn't look scared, he looked focused, like a runner waiting for the gun. AJ was beside him, whispering, "You're gonna crush it." In native. "I just want them to hear it." "Both them?" He shrugged. "I don't know." That answer stuck in his throat. Because he did know. It just didn't have names for it. Backstage, Victor Hale stood in the shadows like a stain. It wasn't supposed to be there. The academy had rules. Security. Boundaries. Victor had never cared much for rules. They followed Jonah. Watched from a distance. Smiled when he saw the banner with Jonah's name on it. Felt something ugly crawl up his spine when he saw Mara's name on the same program. He didn't know who she was. But he knew what she was. A threat. He waited. The show started. A piano piece. A trio. A choir. Applause. Smiles. Polite nods. Easy. Mara went on second to last. She walked out under the lights, and for a second, the noise faded, the room softened, and it was just her and the instruments she abandoned and found again. She closed her eyes before the first note, not because she was nervous, but because she needed to feel it before she heard it. When she played, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't showy. It was honest. There was something raw in it, something unresolved, something that reached instead of performed. A few people in the crowd leaned forward without realizing it. One woman wiped her eyes and didn't know why. And in the third row, Jonah froze. Not because it was good. Because it was familiar. His breath caught, his fingers curled, and his whole body leaned toward the sound like it was a magnet. Something inside him shifted, sharp and sudden, like a memory they never had waking up. AJ whispered, "Jonah, you okay?" He didn't answer. He was listening. When Mara finished, the applause was warm, real, the kind that says we felt that. She smiled, small and grateful, and walked off stage, heart racing, hands shaking, and that ache, at constant ache, louder than ever. She had no idea why. Jonah was up next. He walked out slowly, almost carefully, like the floor might move if he stepped wrong. The room quieted. People tilted their heads. He was small. Young. Unassuming. Then he played. And the air changed. Not metaphorically. Literally. The room shifted. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was layered, emotional, complicated, like a story being told by someone who didn't know the words but knew the feeling. His mouth moved like it was part of him. His eyes were closed. His face was calm and wrecked at the same time. Mara felt it in her chest. Her breath hitched. Her hands went cold. She stood in the wings, staring, not understanding why her knees were weak, why her heart was pounding like it recognized something before her brain could catch up. Victor felt it too. But where Mara felt connection, Victor felt panic. Because this wasn't just talent. This was leaving. He moved. Fast. Too fast. He pushed through the aisle, whispering urgently, "Jonah, we gotta go," low and sharp, like it was an emergency. Jonah's eyes flicked open. He hesitated. The music wavered. Victor leaned closer. "They right here. Social services. If you don't come now, you're done." Jonah's fingers trembled. He looked at the crowd. Looked at Ali. Looked at the stage. And then, he shook his head. No. Victor's face twisted. He grabbed Jonah's arm. Not hard. But not gentle. Mara saw it. Everything in her snapped into focus like glass. She didn't think. She moved. Hey, she said, sharp and loud, stepping between them. What do you think you're doing? Victor blinked, smiled thin. Private matter. Mara's eyes dropped to Jonas' arm. Don't they look like it? Jonas stared at her. Up close, her face hit him like a wave. He swallowed. Victor scoffed. Lady, mind your business. Mara didn't move. Is a child. Victor's jaw tightened. Is man. The word landed wrong. Mara's voice dropped. No. Is not. Security started moving in. Victor released Jonah, stepped back, hands up, all innocence. Misunderstanding. But his eyes burned. He turned and walked out. Jonah didn't breathe until the door closed. Mara crouched in front of him. Are you okay? He nodded. Then, quietly, you play like someone I'm missing. Her chest caved in. She didn't answer. She couldn't. After the show, in the chaos of congratulations and hugs and noise, Jonah stood alone near the side exit, violin case at his feet, staring at nothing. Mara watched him. Every instinct screamed. She walked over. Slow. Careful. Hey, she said softly. He looked up. Up close, it was worse. The eyes. The curve of his mouth. Her hands started shaking. What's your name? She asked. Jonah. Her breath left her body like it had been punched out. Jonah, she repeated, barely a sound. Do you know your birthday? He frowned. April 14th. The room tilted. She sat down hard on the chair behind her. He watched her, confused. Are you okay? She laughed. A broken sound. Tears willed. I've been looking for you. He blinked. For me. Her voice cracked. My name is Mara. Esther. Lone. Carefully. Like he was lining up pieces in his head. You sound like the song I hear when it's quiet, he said slowly. She reached out. Stop. Then reached again. Can I hug you? He hesitated. Then nodded. When she wrapped her arms around him, it wasn't that dramatic. It was devastating. He stiffened. Then melted. And in that moment, something in him finally settled, like a question answered. Across the room, Ali cried. The pastor smiled. And in the hallway, Victor watched from the shadows, eyes dark, jaw tight, realizing the game was over. But not forgiven. Never forgiven. They didn't go to the police that night. They didn't make speeches. They sat in the parking lot, sharing fries, talking about nothing and everything, laughing awkwardly, crying suddenly, staring at each other like mirrors. Mara didn't tell him everything. Not yet. Some truths need space. Jonah didn't ask for proof. Some connections don't need it. They just knew. Later, when the story spread, when people took sides, when Victor claimed exploitation, when social services got involved, when lawyers whispered about custody and consent and rights, the comments got ugly. Some said Mara had no right. Some said Jonah should choose. Some said Victor deserved credit. Some said the past should stay buried. And Jonah read them all. And closed the page. Because for the first time, the noise didn't matter. It wasn't listening for something anymore. They found it. Now it is the part people argue about. Mara didn't press charges. Victor walked away. No handcuffs. No headlines. Used gun. Some call that mercy. Some call it weakness. Some call it injustice. So I'm asking you. If you were Mara, would you have destroyed him, or let him disappear? If you were Jonah, would you have gone back, or walked forward? Because not every ending is clean. And not every villain gets what they deserve. Sometimes, the real win is simply, not losing each other again. And that's something no court can give you.